Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Gananaham Sva Ganapati Gumhavamahe Kavim Kavinamupamastravasamam Yesharajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anasrinvan Utilisti Datadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinipati Dhinamavitrayavatu Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Sumukascha Yekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketurganadhyakshaha Palachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Erambaha Kandapurvajaha Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannapadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Yasya Dhiradavaktrabhyaha Parishadhyaha Parastatam Vignam Vignanti Satatam Vishwaksenam Tamasraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Muspati Krita Varasim Mataki Krita Rakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam Vande Anilatmajam Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatsuljam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatsuljam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatsuljam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Nama Varanana Om Nama Yiti Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Krita Maktakanchalim Bashpavari Paripurna Loshanam Marutim Namatarakshasantakam. Disciple asked Viswamitra, Swami, how long do you think we will be gone? How much of these materials and all that we should take from here? If you can give us an idea of how long we will return, then correspondingly we can take all those things with us. Why unnecessarily burden ourselves with unnecessary things more than what is required? And then Viswamitra replied, no, time is no servant for the body. Actually, we are the servants for time. Who can say when we can return? Who can really say that? Will I come here again or no? I doubt it. When the sage spoke like this, the hearts of all residents, all the disciples, other rishis and sages, everybody present there, their heart actually sank. Whatever they had in their hand, the clothes, the vessels, the various tools they held in their hand, they all slipped and fell on the ground. They could not find words to speak in reply. They could not also protest to the master. You don't do that. And so they couldn't question him. So they bundled up all the kusa grass and the sacred sticks, the samiti for the sacrificial fire, and the various pots and pans, the ladles and the vessels and all that as much as they could carry. But the meaning of Viswamitra's words was a mystery, and so each of them interpreted it in his own way. Very soon, the night passed by and the dawn broke. Everyone was instantly ready because the master had told them the night before to get ready. Now, as they were leaving and as they were closing the doors behind them and bolting them, Viswamitra said, no, don't fasten the doors. Don't close them. Leave them open This is not ours. Anyone who comes here can enter. This ashram must welcome all who arrive at all times. This day, the bond between this ashram and us is broken, is snapped. And then he prayed to the gods. We think God is somewhere else, in a temple or whatever, but God is there everywhere, in every direction, all around us, He is there. And this is what we call as big devatas. Okay, and that is not limited to 8 or 16 or 12 or 10. They're actually infinite. And so Viswamitra, what did he do? He prayed to all of them. And then he said, may you all grow in happiness. Saganau, we say Saganau Avatu, Saganau Bunaktu, like that. And then he said, with your grace, I have achieved success in my endeavor, in my undertaking. And please accept my gratitude in return. How much humility and vinayam and humbleness and modesty the sage is teaching us. We must remember that. And then he was continuing. You will no longer be troubled by demons and rakshasas and all that. Now you can live happily in prosperity, in peace. I am now going out of the Siddhashram, renowned sage. I have resolved now to take residence in the Himalayas, north of the sacred Ganga river. Then he prostrated on the ground as a mark of respect for the various deities, the devatas that are present there. Then he started on his journey with Rama and Lakshmana and the various senior rishis of the ashram. Now, the residents of the ashram realized that their place was really with Viswamitra, not in the ashram. So they also followed him. And they thought, even if my master, my Guruji goes to Himalaya, I will also go there. That is the best place for us. It's equally suitable. And so they too offered gratitude and reverence to the forest deities, all the devatakal that is present there. And then the grass-thatched huts and all that. And then they started walking behind the rishi. As they were, very important to note, they were proceeding in the northerly direction from there. And as I promised you, I'll draw a map for you and then I'll send it to you. And so as they were going there, all of a sudden they found the forest animals, deers and birds and beasts and peacocks, and everybody started following them. Every single animal started following them, behind them, with their tails held high. Like, when a master leaves, a dog comes behind him, right? And Viswamitra stopped. Now, watch here what happened. Bhagavan says in two different discourses, and very beautifully explains, why do the animals follow and why do they feel so sad that the rishi was leaving? Because Viswamitra was none other than Sumitra. He had the friendship, the true friendship, love for everything around. So when you love a stone, the stone loves you back. When you love a bird, the bird loves you back. It's as simple as that. You love a piece of a speck of sand, it loves you back. So that is the perspective, that's the experience, that spiritual experience with which Viswamitra was living. So he was so loving that the animals did not want to leave him. And another reason is when you are with Bhagavan, when you have the blessing and the opportunity and the grace to be with Bhagavan, to interact with him and to see him, and when he leaves physically, okay, you also want to go with him. You don't want to stay behind, unless of course he gives you order to stay behind. That's a different thing. Otherwise, he's like a magnet attracting you. So they were attracted to Rama and Lakshmana, who were nothing but Sathya and Dharma. So the animals were following them. Then Viswamitra stopped, turned back and said, "Oh, animals, now listen how simply, in a very simple manner, he speaks the truth. His truth is so simple, and the rishi spoke only the truth. So whatever they said, it always sounds so simple, but we should not miss it. What did he tell them? He said, "Oh, animal, the places to which I am going now are not congenial for your style of living. Then for your safety and security, you cannot come and live in the Himalayan region. The forest is your habitat, so stay here. Do not be sad at the separation. Do not follow us. Remain where you are. and God will grant you peace and joy. So he took leave of them too, and then resumed the journey. Now, throughout the day, they traveled, and then they arrived at the bank of Sona river. This Sona you can see even now when you go to Bihar. And first time I saw that, I was thrilled when I saw Sona river. So then they decided to spend the night there. They took the bath in the river, did their ablutions, and then, as happened, Rama and Lakshmana gathered around the sage, and Rama said, Swami, this region appears so rich and prosperous. What is its name? What is its history? I would like to know. And then Viswamitra replied, Rama, Brahma had a son through his mere mental will, and the son's name was Kusha. Kusha was a great saint, a great ascetic, very steadfast and strict in his discipline, and very committed to spiritual adventure, learned in science and as well as morals. Then he wedded the daughter of the noble ruler of Vidarbha kingdom. The two of them lived how did they live? The example of how we should live. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksham. They were following that according to the prescribed procedures. And then they had 4 sons. The sons' names are Kushamba, Kushanabha, Adurta Rajaka, and Vasu. Each one of them shone like his own father in virtue, in might, and in highly involved in the spiritual disciplines, in dharma, and integrity, because they were all brought up that way. Kusha, what did he do? He divided the kingdom into 4 parts, and he gave each part to his sons, and he told them, okay, my children, rule over the part that is assigned to you, and each of you, then you prosper that way. So then they entered the kingdom, and each one of them obviously started constructing a capital for the kingdom. The Kusamba built a city called Kaushambi, and Kusanabha built the city called Mahodaya, and Adurta Rajaka built a capital city called Dharmaranya, and Vasu built Girivraja. And Rama, this area where we are right now in the kingdom, this is actually the kingdom of Vasu. And see, look around us. We're surrounded by 5 hills here. So the city is called Girivraja. Girivraja means collection of hills. So this is the city that used to be Girivraja. And now here the auspicious Sona river is flowing. And the Sona river has also got another name. It is called Sumagadi. Sumagadi. Therefore, this region is called Magadha region. This Magadha flows from east to west here. Very important. At that point, the river is flowing east to west. And then, because of the majesty and the righteousness of Vasu, then both banks of the river are so lush and prosperous and all that. Now, the second son, Kusamba, and he was also well established in Dharma, and he had a number of daughters he had, but no son. And what did he do? He taught the daughters all the dharmic way of living, the dharmic principles, what we call as the human values, Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, and Ahimsa. And then also taught them scriptures and everything. And then, most importantly, this is a lesson for each one of us, what is coming now. He taught them the importance of forbearance. Forbearance in Sanskritam is called Kshama. Kshama is a very important virtue to develop. And the greatest gift that one can give to another, to your children, to your spouse, to your friend, Kshama is the greatest gift, because that itself is a yajna. When you bear, see, as Bhagavan says, bear all and do nothing. If you can reach that stage, that is the most powerful yajna. And that also compels you and facilitates you to be honest and gives you the dharmic thought and dharmic action. So this Kshama is very important. He taught his daughters Kshama. And then actually he taught them right from the moment these daughters were born, even when they were young babies, right from there he started teaching them that. Then he gave them in marriage, all of them, to the king of Kampilia city, whose name was Brahmadatta. Then, when they all left home, he came back to his palace and found the palace was absolutely empty. And he said, this house used to be so bright and lively. Now all the daughters are gone. It is so empty and so dreary. If only I had a son, and this calamity would not fall on me. That's what he was saying. At that time, his father happened to come there. Kusha came there. And he said, Kusanaba, why are you sad? What happened? Your daughter just got married. You should be happy that they started leading their life well and all. No, Appa, I wish I had a son. And so he explained. Then his father, Kusha, blessed him to have a son. And the relationship between father and son is such that when the father blesses, it happens. And very soon, he had a son. The son's name was Gadhi. Gadhi was the name. And he grew up to be a very virtuous and righteous and strong and highly skilled prince he was. Now, since he was born in the lineage of Kusha, he was known as Kausika. Now, what happened after that? His sisters they lost their husband after some time. And as beautiful wives those days did, they did the sati, which is they immolated themselves and gained heaven. Now, they were born on the Himalayas as sacred rivers, which joined together to form the famous Kausiki river. Now, Kausika, he was very attached to his sisters, especially the eldest one called Satyavati. So, what did he do? He knew that they had been born as rivers and they're coming down. So, he took residence on the bank of this river Satyavati and established himself at the Siddhashram and celebrated the yajna he had resolved upon with ceremonial perfection. Rama, through your immeasurable grace and heroism, the yajna I had resolved upon has now come to successful conclusion. Again, he is repeating his gratitude, and now it is completed. My rigorous vow has been fulfilled. When he finished like that, all the monks who were staying gathered around the sage explained, oh, how wonderful. Really, we are so fortunate that we could listen to the story of the ancestors of our master. What a great source of joy the story is. So this is the story of Viswamitra. He himself recited just now. The Kusha line is so become so holy. And they were so praiseworthy and they could not contain their happiness. And say how lucky we are, that we have this singular grace of Bhagavan to serve this master who represents this lineage, the sage Viswamitra himself. And so they couldn't stop. And Viswamitra, when they were talking like this in so much of praise and worship, Viswamitra interrupted them. And he stopped and said, Rama, I would not have dwelt on this story at all. But you prompted me. You asked me about the history of this place. See, this is how we should be. When Bhagavan is present, you don't talk. If he asks you something, then you talk, because he knows. He knows what to ask and when to ask and what to get and all that from you. So he answered this, gave the story of this place because Rama asked him this question. Then he continued, Rama, normally I don't give details regarding this body and its ancestors and all that, but you prompted me. You asked me the story, the background, the sacredness, the holiness of this place. So I explained that to you. Now it's all right. Now let's take some rest now. And because if we delay in going to sleep, then tomorrow morning our journey also will be slowed, delayed, and that will delay our arrival at Mithila. So, and then beautifully, he couldn't control himself. Then he said, Rama, do you see that moon there? Peeping at you, at your beauty through those leaves and branches? See, wherever Viswamitra turned, his vision was everywhere it was filled with Rama. He could see Bhagavan present in front of him. And he could also see how everything around is bathing in the bliss of the darshan of Bhagavan, wants to steal One quick look at this avataram that is there. So beautifully he described how the moon is looking at him. And then they took rest, but the monks and everybody, they were all ruminating on the story they just heard. They couldn't believe that this is the history of their master they just heard. Then they woke up in the morning and finished their morning ablutions, and then the boys came and fell at the feet of the sage, and as they every day they did. In fact, Bhagavan says, what is the solution to solve all the problems in the world? What is one medicine that you can do? Everyone, if they does that, there will be absolutely no problems, no misery. That is, every day, every person must fall at the feet of their parents and take their blessings. Even if the parents are not alive, you can do the namaskarams to them in the puja room. If every one of us does this, there will be no problem, no misery in the world. So, this Rama and Lakshmana, you see how many times, every time we have heard in the story, evening and morning they fall at the feet of the sage and take his blessings. Not once, with tremendous humility and sincerity. These are all things that we should emulate. Then they all formed a nice single line, one behind the other. And then they said, Rama told Viswamitra, Swami, see how nice it is. He said, Swami, this Sona river doesn't seem to be very deep here. Let us cross here. And that way, the water is also clear and we don't need a boat. And then Viswamitra replied to him, oh, my son, you are a stranger to this place. You don't know this place. So, you don't know where exactly to cross. You follow me. I'll go first. You follow me. See how beautifully he was carrying them, crossing the river. And then you got to picture the scene. The eldest rishi there, who gave us the Gayatri Mantra, as I mentioned to you yesterday. He's walking in the front, and the two boys are following him, and the whole lineage of all the group of monks and other rishis, and everybody is following in a single line. They are crossing the river. Because single line is very important because you don't want to get into a deep spot. And now how were they crossing? And one behind the other, and each one had their baggings and baggage carrying it on their head. This is the way they crossed. And then the thing is, because of the bundle they had on the shoulder, the pace was a bit slow. And then very soon, by noon, they crossed the river, and very soon they reached the river Jasnavi. Jasnavi is another name for Ganga. And so they reached Ganga itself. So you can now see from where Tataka was killed and Maricha and Subahu was killed, where the Siddhashram, they're all near Baksar area, right? And from there they crossed, they went north, crossed the Sona river, and then traveled something. Now they come to Gangai. And then it was so beautiful when they reached Gangai that you could hear the sweet chattering of the birds, the cuckoos and the parrots and all that. And it was so delightful it was. But even though it was noon, they felt very happy and very cool. Of course, they took a bath immediately. When you go to Ganga, immediately you take a bath there, and then with the rituals and all that. And then Rama and Lakshmana finished their thing and came back, and they saw Viswamitra taking rest under a shade of a tree, where he was nicely reclining there under the tree, maybe reclining on the stem. And so they went there, and Rama asked them, Swami, now why is it they say that the Ganga flows as three streams in the three worlds, and how does the Ganga reach the ocean, which is the lord of every stream? The ocean is the lord of every stream, where all the rivers finally go and merge. And please tell us that story and make me happy. And Viswamitra is always ever ready to narrate. He said, son, the Himalayan range, the Himalayan range of mountains we call is the basis for all the world. When we talk about Meru Malai, it is right there. Mount Kailash is there. It is the basis for all the world. And it is the home for all animals and herbs. Now, the Himalayan mountain had two daughters. One was Ganga and the other was Uma. Now, Ganga is the elder of the two. Okay? And both Ganga and Uma are being worshipped and adored by the whole world. Now, the gods, Devas wanted Ganga to be present in the heavens, to be given to them, so they might have prosperity. So, Himavan, their father, gave Ganga to the Devas. Now, the younger daughter, Uma, what did she do? She entered upon a life of penance and tapas and austerity and asceticism. She became an ascetic, and she immersed herself in extremely tough and rigorous spiritual practices. And it is called to develop that virakti, to detachment from everything else. And detachment comes not by itself. Only when you attach to something, something else gets detached. So when you attach to Bhagavan's lotus feet, everything else gets detached. So that is what she was doing. And Himavan, being a father, wanted to settle her in marriage, obviously. And then that, it was not an easy job. He had a very tough time. Finally, he persuaded Rudra to agree to wed her. And then she also became entitled for worship in all the three worlds because of this marriage. Now, Viswamitra continued. The Ganga you see here, Rama, that is showing here, is the same Ganga that the Devas took with them. And now that has come down to earth. And now it has come down to earth in 3 steps, not in 1 step. 1 step is in heaven. Second one is on earth. And third one is below the Patalam. And so he continued the story. And then they got up and started continuing their journey and walking towards Mithila. And that we will continue with Bhagavan's grace on Monday. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om